Falcons EdTech Tutorials. On this episode, how to increase engagement online with Nearpod. Hey Hadley and Philemon, Jeremy here. I'm here to talk to you today about Nearpod, which is an add-on for Google Slides. So if you make your presentations in Google Slides, Nearpod is a great addition to your Google Slides. If you do your presentations in Microsoft PowerPoint, you can always open them in Google Slides and then use Nearpod as an add-on there as well. Nearpod allows you to increase the engagement you'll see from your online lessons by allowing students to participate directly in the lesson with you. So a lesson that you would normally run in a class where you can maybe have them participate in small group discussions or to do different activities, you can do all of this online virtually by using the Nearpod add-on. So I'm going to take you through how to create Nearpod add-on slides, how to run a Nearpod lesson, and then also how to see the reports that Nearpod creates for you so that you can have that evidence for you when you're trying to maybe evaluate or assess your students' performance in your lesson. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so we're going to open up a slide and then simply add it as an add-on. So if you haven't added add-ons, try to say that 10 times fast, before, it's a really simple process. You just find the tab for add-ons in the toolbar, click on this, and then click on Get Add-ons. It'll then load. Nearpod should be at the top, but if it isn't, just simply search Nearpod and it'll pop up, and then click on Install. It needs your permission, so click on Continue, and then you need to sign in. So use your WQSB account, and that'll just make sure everything syncs later for you. And you want to allow. And there you go. So it's been installed. So we click on Done. We can close this window, and then when we go back to our add-ons, we'll see that Nearpod has been installed, and we simply click on Open Nearpod, which will then bring us to all of the functions of Nearpod here on the right. So Nearpod is much more powerful when you already have a presentation ready to go. So I want to show you that with a presentation in a moment. You'll also have to sign in to Nearpod. Again, make sure you log in with your Office 365. It'll bring up a different window, and it might ask you to sign in if you haven't already signed in before. So there you go. So these are all the different Nearpod options, and I'm going to open up a Nearpod lesson that I've sort of already created and working on just to show you some of the different features. All right, so I find that the best way to use Nearpod is with an existing Google Slides presentation that you may already have. So here's one that we use in grade 10 in conjunction with a documentary that we watch, and it's some viewing guide questions that we ask them, I think either before we show the documentary or directly after we show them the documentary. And it's great for in-class work, right? We do group discussion, we do fold the line, we do parking lot with sticky notes, we do thumbs up, thumbs down. But this is hard to replicate in the virtual classroom. So Nearpod allows you to do that, to sort of create engagement by creating a bunch of different ways for you to get students to respond to the questions you're asking them. So to activate our Nearpod, we're going to click on Add-ons, click on Open Nearpod, and it'll bring up all of the different options here on the side. So there's a bunch of different options. I'm only going to go through 3 of them with you today. I'm going to go through the poll. I'm going to show you how to put in an open-ended question and how to use the collaborate board. But they're all basically the same. So once you kind of get the hang of doing one, I'm sure you'll figure out how to do the other. So the first one I want to show you is how to do an open-ended question. So I'm going to just edit this slide. Sorry, this is a poll, not an open-ended question. So I'm just going to click on edit this slide because I've already created it for us. So you would just copy and paste the question that you want into the body, and then you'd put in your options. So you can see A, B, C, D, and you can even include media. So you can add an image if you'd like. You can set a timer. All right, so you can change it from 30 seconds, 45 seconds, however much time you want them to have. You can even toggle if you want them to have multiple options selected, so they can choose A and B, and then you just simply click Save. And now, as you can see, it's already in our Google slide. So we don't actually run it from Google Slides. We're going to go to Nearpod to do that, but it does show up to show you that, hey, there is a Nearpod slide in your presentation. The next one I want to show you show you how to do is a collaborate board. Again, this one allows for students to participate. This one, instead of being a poll, it allows them to sort of write on sticky notes, and then it shows up almost like on a piece of chart paper. And again, so you put in your topic, I've put in an image, And yeah, pretty simple, pretty straightforward stuff. So it doesn't take a lot to sort of, edit these slides and add them into your actual presentation. So it's not like you're having to recreate, this whole presentation. You're simply, modifying it a little bit. The last one I want to show you is the open-ended question. And again, I've already created one here. So this one is where you just simply put your question in the body of the slide right here. And with this one, I've created a little bit of a longer timer, just so that way the students have time to write their response. They can write a paragraph if they wanted to. And I've also added a video for them to watch if they finish before their their classmates are finished. They can watch this video while they're waiting for people to finish and ready for us to sort of share all the answers. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so those are 3 of the ways that I use Nearpod the most. On the next section of the video, I'm going to show you how you actually run a Nearpod lesson and get all that awesome student engagement. All right, so once you have your Nearpod lesson built on Google Slides, you want to then present your lesson. So you don't actually present it from Google Slides itself. Instead, you need to go to Nearpod to do that. So there's 2 ways to get there. One, just type nearpod.com in your browser and go there. Or you can simply click on Go to Nearpod in the add-on from Google Slides. It'll take you to Nearpod. It might ask you to log in. Log in using your WQSP credentials, and that will bring you to this dashboard. Here it shows you all the lessons that you've created using Nearpod. And as you can see, in my other job as a Learn tutor, I use Nearpod a lot for grammar work, and Nearpod has actually created a bunch of different lessons for some basic grammar concepts, so I'm able to use those without even having to create anything, which is pretty cool. So here's the happy documentary question lesson that we've created. So once I'm ready to present it, I simply click on live participation, and then I need to share with my students. There's a few different ways I can do that. The easiest way is to click on link, copy that link, and then just paste that in your Teams chat while you're running that meeting. Another way to do it is to simply post it to Microsoft Teams, and you just simply choose the channel that you want to share this link in. So let's say I want to share it with my group 103. I would simply search for them, and there you go. There's my general channel, and that'll post it directly there. I could even update, type a little bit here and say, hey guys, follow this link. All right, and then I would click share. Okay, so once students follow the link and they get to Nearpod, this is your dashboard. This is what you see. What they see once they log in is just the screen of the slide that you're trying to show them, which is kind of neat. As they sign in, you'll see the list populated here, and you're also able to see all of the slides along the bottom here, which is kind of cool. And you can toggle on and off whether or not you want to show student names while you present. Once you're ready to go, everyone's logged in. You simply control the presentation by clicking on these left and right arrows to move the presentation along. So we'll go to the first question. Maybe we talk about it a little bit as a class, and then we want to go to our first Nearpod activity slide. So again, on this side, we see the Start Activity button. And when we click on this, we'll start a countdown, and then the students will be able to answer the questions. So I'll show you what it looks like from our side, and then I'll show you what it looks like from the student side. So from our side, we have this countdown, which is mimicked somewhat on the student side, and then we wait for the answers to come in. As they answer the question, the timer will count down, and you'll start to see student responses. The student names will populate here under the column called student, and their answers will then show up underneath each of these letters, right, for each of the different options that they could answer. Once you're finished with the poll and everyone's answered or had a chance to answer, then you want to share the results, and you'd simply click on this button, and it shows it off as a pie chart, which is pretty cool. All right, and now take a look at what the student sees once this gets shared to their device. Okay, so this is what a student sees when you get to a Nearpod slide. So when we're seeing the slide where it says, Start Activity button, they see this Time for a Poll button. So when we click on Start Activity, it starts a countdown timer for them, and then they have the option of answering the question. They can click on a picture if they wish. They can read it, and then, of course, answer the question. So for me, it is family and friends, and then I click on Submit. All right. On the other side here, I can then, of course, share with the class. and that automatically ends the poll. And here you go. That's what it looks like for a student. So obviously, with more students, you'd have maybe a bit of a different result. Okay, so once you're ready to move on, you simply click the right arrow and you move on to the next question. All right, so here we have our first collaborate board. So we click on this and it shows us the option of using the collaborate board. Now, this is great right here because it allows you to approve student content before it's posted. So in case anyone's feeling a little silly that day, you don't have to let them share that idea with the entire class. So you can say yes, you can choose to apply it for the rest of the session if you wish. And there you go. So once they start posting things, say for example, they say, absolutely, bring me that money. And they post that, it'll show up here on the collaborate board. So they will see something very similar to this, but they won't have these options up here to the right, which are teacher options. So as they post, it'll show up here in pending post, and you'll just simply be able to click check mark for yes, you want it to show up, or discard if you think it's something that shouldn't be shared. Once you click check mark, it'll show up here. You can also organize your posts by their name if you're wanting to show student names. Remember, you can toggle that on and off down here. And by the likes. So if people like what someone's written, it can sort of populate that and kind of make that a more popular, more easily visible answer. All right, and then you move on. The next slide, or the last slide I want to show you, has a video on it. So this is really cool too. So if you're ever sharing a video with your class, you can create one through Nearpod, and then everyone can watch that video on their own device. So instead of trying to screen share like we do through Teams or through Zoom, which can be kind of clunky and sometimes it buffers, this allows them to watch the video on their device, but everyone is timed to come back to you when you want them to. So you can say all devices, and then when you click on start activity, again, they'll be able to answer the question. This is an open-ended question. Answers will eventually pop up here. But when they play the video, it plays only on their device. But when you move this slide, it stops the video. So they can't stay there. So you're still in full control of that video playing. All right, so now that you've had a successful lesson, all right, you want to then end your session and maybe view some reports. So to end your session, you just simply click on this drop-down arrow here and click on End Session. And that'll kick everyone back out. And on their side, it'll say something like, this session is ended. Do you want to close this window? All right, so now you want to check out some reports from your lesson. So obviously we don't have any reports from this lesson here, but I do have some reports from another lesson, and I'll bring those up and show you those. So if I click on this older lesson that I actually did run with some of my students, I want to show you some of the results that I got. So if I click on this, in this one I only used a poll and open-ended question. It shows you overall the different activity that, or not the different activities, but the participation level of the students. So in general, 78 of the questions were answered and 22 were skipped, which is overall not terrible. Definitely something that we can work on. I can look specifically at my poll answers and see which students agreed, disagreed, or didn't answer the question. And again, you can see the results there. For the open-ended questions, you can look at what they've actually written, which is pretty cool. So when you're trying to collect results and collect evidence, this is a great way for you to see those results. You can also download this as a PDF and print that out and then keep that as a file if it's something that you wish to do. All right, guys, so that was how to increase engagement online with Nearpod. Now, I only covered a few of the many things that Nearpod can do, but if you're interested in talking more about Nearpod or learning more about Nearpod, check out the link in the description to a very thorough video made by a YouTuber called Pocketful of Primary. She does a great job explaining it. There's tons of great resources out there. And as always, message me on Teams or email me if you have any questions. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.